What's up, guys? Welcome to the Chuggin. My name is Josue, but you can call me Jesu. And today we're having an immaculate guest on the podcast, a bass legend from a band that I've carried in my heart for a long time. We're talking about Jacob Umansky of Intervals and Gia. We talked about things from theory knowledge to touring to working with brands and composition and getting in the signature sound. Now, if you feel supportive, I'm going to leave some links in the description where you can help me with stuff that I need to make this project look and sound better. I'm going to leave that in the description of this video and also on the comment section. And before we get into the intro, I want to talk about today's sponsor, Kreative Devices. If you're looking to buy a new laptop with big performance but you're not willing to pay thousands and thousands of dollars, make sure to check out Kreative Devices laptop models. I got myself a Pro G16 model with a 9-7 12-gen processor, 64 gigabytes of RAM, an RTX 3060 GPU, and 2TB SSD of storage. You can customize it with your own logo, which is really freaking cool. I'm going to leave the link to their website on the description too. Thanks again to Kreative Devices for sponsoring this podcast. Now, let's go with the intro. Welcome to the Chuggin.
The Chuggin, that's a great name.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, it was. Yeah. I was like thinking about getting like a good name. At first, I thought like the Chug Project or something like that. I was like, that sounds like too serious. It's like let's do something.
Chuggin's good.
Thanks, man. Again, thanks for coming, man. It's an honor. You play one of my favorite bands, Intervals.
Thank you, man.
I want to start with like all your musical knowledge, let's say, because man. I mean, you're like over the whole spectrum. How can I say like you've studied music just like myself. I've been studying for like 2 years now, and I know how important it is, and I know how hard it is, and why so many musicians get to like quit or I don't know, just like give up on music. But I'm glad that I can talk about that with you today. So you're from Long Island, am I right?
Yeah, Long Island, New York.
Yeah, great. So how is it over there? Like I've never been like in the States, just for you to know.
Oh, where are you located?
So I'm in the Dominican Republic.
Oh, nice. I've never been there. Hell yeah.
Okay.
Sick. I mean, I loved growing up in New York. I lived in this place called Nassau County, which is, have you ever heard of like the venue? It's like a famous venue, like Nassau Coliseum. Have you heard of that?
I think I've heard of it.
Yeah. I grew up like 10 minutes down the road from that place in just like a little suburb. And yeah, it's like, it was cool. Normal suburban town, I guess.
Yeah.
And then, I was also like, like a 45-minute train ride into New York City.
Oh, okay.
So, which is where I live in Brooklyn now. So I live basically like 20 minutes outside Manhattan, or basically a 20-minute train ride into Manhattan.
Wow.
So yeah, I've always wanted to live in the city or like close to the cities. So, but yeah, I don't really. I think about I travel all over, and I always like think like, oh, can I live here? And I always just come back to like, nah, I just rather just live here.
Yeah. I mean, man, New York. I know that place is like crazy. Like, so what do you like about there?
I mean, it's just where I grew up,
Right.
But it's also great because there's like a killing music scene. Like there's always jams. I went to music school, and a lot of my homies from there moved here. Some of them live like right down the street from me in Brooklyn, so it's always a good hang. And but mainly like a lot of my family's still here, and all my friends are here, and I can just kind of have my little hub in my apartment where I just sit and just do all my session work and lessons and whatnot all day. So it's pretty great. But and if there's always great food, there's great people, there's always things to do. But I don't know, it's just like home for me.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, I totally get it. I mean, it's the same for me. Like, this is my country, this is my town, and you should come here whenever you can.
Yeah, dude. Absolutely.
I'll talk about it with Clayton and Clint Tustin from ERRA, like on the last episodes. And
oh, nice.
Yeah, and I was talking with them like how a lot of rock and metal dudes love to vacation here. Like they love it here. It's just really different, from where you're used to, like the beach and like all the tourism. Like it's really echo, like really, like you can see all the green areas. Like it's really beautiful. So you should totally come here. And I would love to, like guide you and everything. Like it's been really fun, like rivers and shit. Like, it's been really fun. Yeah, dude. So I mean, when you start with music is, dude, you started like at 6 years old.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wasn't like a prodigy. I don't think like
Yeah,
I
of
got
course.
started very young, but like there's kids out there. It's funny because a lot of those kids that I'm about to like talk about, like there's this dude in the bass player who's like this little neo soul kid. He was like a kid. Now he's like probably like 13 or something. And there's this other dude, Gabriel Severn, who is I think in his like late teens now, but him and those two kids were like, those are like prodigies. Like, those dudes have been, but like for me, like I had a bass in my hand since I was like 7, but it took me a second to be like, you know, good. You know, it wasn't like I was 7 years old or 8 years old and just ripping. But yeah, I'd always been fascinated with music since I was toddler. And I started working with a teacher or a consistent teacher from when I was like 7 or 8 years old and until I was like 7 or 18 until I went off to college. So, you know, I got very lucky that I found a good teacher and that I went to like just an average high school, but just had like an above average music program, which was really cool.
Yeah, that's great, man. I mean, I wish I had that. I kind of had that, you know, as being a kid, cause like my dad is a musician too.
Same.
So I had that and, you know, it was great. Like I didn't have any teacher or anything like that, but it was great. Like being like, you know, growing up in that environment, it's really helpful, I think, for any musician at all, because
just having it around the house.
Yeah, right. Like it feels natural. So yeah, you went back like from age 6, and then you picked up first like bass at like 7 years old, right, or something like that.
Yeah, kind of. I like picked up a guitar. My dad bought me an acoustic guitar, and then the reason was I liked Gene Simmons a lot. I was like a big Kiss fan, and then I thought he played guitar, so my dad's like bought me like a little shitty acoustic guitar.
Yeah.
But then I found out Gene Simmons played bass, and I was like, I want to do that. And my dad was like, dude, I just bought you a guitar. If you stick with it for a year, I'll buy you a bass. How about that?
Yeah.
So I took lessons for like 6 months, and then I annoyed my dad to the point where he's like, all right, fine, here, I'll get you a bass. And then I started playing bass, and my guitar teacher at the time was like to my dad, hey, like you should get him like an actual bass teacher. My uncle who works in like the jazz fest scene, he told me and my dad to go see this chat. You know what a Chapman stick is?
I have no clue.
You know what Tony? You know King Crimson? Okay, so there's basically it's like an instrument where it's like you tap it and it's like has all the guitar and bass strings kind of a thing.
Oh, either okay, way.
So me and my dad went to see this guy because my uncle told me to go see him, and we met him after the show. And my dad was talking to this dude. He's like, hey, I have this, you know, I have a young kid. You know any bass players on Long Island that are like good bass teachers? And he recommended this guy named Mike Frost, who is, you know, the reason, you know, big reason why I, you know, turned out the way I turned out. And I studied with him from when I was 7 to 17. So that's kind of the short version of it.
Yeah, great, man. I was thinking, wow, like you get like so early like into music, and then having all these figures, examples, you know, being like a professional musician in your career, like it's been really important, I believe, in your life, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's great, man. So yeah, man, so you've studied music theory, harmony, like jazz and contemporary music, which is totally insane, like considering like all the genres like you're playing right now, you know? I mean,
yeah, absolutely. It definitely helps because like I think the world I live in obviously is like the progressive metal world,
right?
But coming from all those other genres, like I think one thing is like a lot of younger cats, like I don't know, I'm not that old, but I'm not young, you know. I'm 29, but like so like there wasn't like when I was like 16, Periphery's like first record came out. Right. So like I was a Periphery fan in high school, right? But before that there was like other stuff. So, you know, there wasn't like gent wasn't really like a big thing. The progressive metal stuff wasn't really popping off.
It was not a genre.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So like and for the progressive stuff, like I was studying like you said, like jazz. I worked on a lot of like R&B stuff, like slap, obviously.
Right.
But my slap chops didn't come from metal, and that's what I think is different today, because you have a lot of players now in our world that are doing the thing. But I think what was cool about my approach and like, you know, coming up was like a lot of the stuff that I'm applying or, you know, to the music I play now didn't come from just other metal players. It's me looking at guys like Marcus, like
exactly,
like Victor Wooten, Henrik Linder, that kind of thing. So whenever I like any of my students ask me like, hey, like who should I listen to? Like I don't. It's very rare that I give them like metal players to check out. That's cool. There's some, like obviously like I have a lot of very talented homie bass player friends that are just absolute stone cold killers and completely innovating and like amazing innovators. But when I just like, when it comes to like a foundation, like listen to like where the shit started. It doesn't mean that it didn't. It's okay that it didn't start in metal. You can apply it in your own way.
That's right, man. Yeah, I think it's really interesting, and it's great, right, to have like different perspectives, influences. So yeah, you're, like talking about influences, like what would you say are like your biggest influences right now? It can be anyone. Like
right now, I mean, it's always like Henrik Linder from Dirty Loops.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He's one of my biggest like heroes as a bass player.
It's insane.
It's absurd. I think I use a lot that I kind of is his like use of like open strings for slapping. It's a really cool, it's really cool way to get around the bass and just like, gets you out of like, boxes. But yeah, Henrik Linder, Marcus Miller, Evan Marion is like a homie of mine. He just did a feature on the New Intervals record.
Oh yeah, I saw it. Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, thank you. He's also just like unbelievable at bass. He's like one of those. Yeah. It's rare now, like when you hear somebody and it's that you immediately just be like, oh, okay, that's him. And Evan is one of those people where it's like you hear it and it's just it's him.
Yeah, dude. I mean that record, dude. Like you gave me like goosebumps, like that type of thing. Like,
you mean which record?
Yeah, like the last one, like with
A Memory Palace.
Yeah, Memory Palace. Like, dude, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing like the song names, but Mnemonic, like Mnemonic. Sorry,
it's okay.
Yeah, that and listening to what I was like a shower. Dude, I love that. The other one, it's Neurogenesis. Is it called? Yeah, dude, I fucking love that song.
Thank you, dude.
It's so good. Like I know how much. Like I saw the documentary you guys did. Like, dude, I love like how much effort you guys put like into the sonic palettes and all the little like
just like all the little nooks and crannies. Yeah, that was definitely my favorite record we've done. And it was so sick just getting to actually do it and record it in person. And like when Aaron was recording guitar, I would go in and I'd like help him with like harmonies, and same thing with Sam.
Right.
And we were there for literally everything. So it wasn't like a thing where I'd like go into my room, record bass, and I'd be like, okay, well, I hope they like this. And then if not, I'll have to like go back and do it again, where it was just like, we were in the studio for 2 weeks. So if we recorded something like a full song and we wanted to change something, we'd just go back. It was great. It was really, really like an amazing experience. And I think that translates sonically.
Yeah, dude, for sure. I mean, great job from your producer. I'm sorry if I'm forgetting names right now, but I know he has worked with Steel Tones.
Yeah, Sam Guayana.
Yeah, Sam. Oh God, dude, he did such an amazing job, and I believe Jesse Zaretti. Yeah, so, dude. Yeah, amazing. Great work from you guys, and I cannot wait like to keep listening, to new bangers like those. I just love instrumental music because it's just like so different, like from where you're used to. Like you're not expecting that. Like that was my first impression when I first heard like Intervals. I was like, what? Like can you really sound that good? Like without vocals, with just like the instrumental work behind, and it's crazy, man. And I love the compositions that Aaron does also. Like he's great. I know that he has a lot of knowledge too, just like you, when it comes to composition, which I would love to get more into. But I want to go back to your background. So you studied music performance on Berklee. Dude, Can you talk to me more about it? Because I know that Berklee is just like one of the biggest, right? What can I say? I'm like, it's cool, whatever you want to call it, as college for music, and like everybody wants to go there. Like all my mates from my school where I studied there, like that's their dream. Like, oh, I want to go to Berklee. It's a crazy experience. So how was that for you?
It was a lot. It was definitely a lot. Just because I think a lot of people who go to Berklee, they're like a big fish in a small pond when they're at home. And then, so you have this mindset, and like, I knew I was good, like even, but I didn't think I was, the best around, but I knew I was like, I could play the bass, and it was something that I could potentially pursue professionally. And then I got to school, and it was just like some of the players there were like, it was ridiculous. Like my first day I went to like a jam, and I was just so discouraged. I went back to my apartment. I just like called my dad, and I was like, yeah, I don't know if I should be here. This is a lot, and everyone's very good, and I don't know. And he was like, well, you worked really hard to get there, try to stick it out for a little bit and see. And it was interesting because there's certain people, obviously there's different students with different attitudes and different mindsets, and I made some good friends there. And there's some people, they're like, one of the first days I was there, I was in I saw this dude wearing a Periphery shirt.
Oh,
And
okay.
I was like, okay, cool. Because like
Yeah.
I went there, I didn't have any friends, I didn't know
Yeah, I
anybody
feel
there.
you. Yeah.
So I saw, I'm like, oh, Periphery shirt. Hey, nice shirt. And then we, became friends.
Yeah.
We went to his dorm. We were just jamming on stuff. And some dude, one of his friends came in, and I was like playing like, a Victor Wooten tune or something,
Oh, okay.
just
Yeah.
struggling through it. And then he's like, hey, let me see that. And he like picked up the bass and started playing it like perfectly. And I was like, oh man, like,
Oh,
I was like, oh man, that's so sick. Like, I'd love to like
Yeah.
hang and like pick your brain in that. And he was just like, I don't know, man. I just kind of do it. And I was like, okay. And it was like such a shitty,
Yeah.
like, I don't know. It just gave me this, I don't know. From that day, I was like, you know what? I'm going to learn how to do this. And
Yeah.
and if anyone ever asks me how to do this a certain way or whatever technique, I'm not gonna gatekeep it. Like, so there was definitely certain attitudes, but anyway, just the overall environment was amazing. Like,
Great.
like you're just surrounded by all these teachers who are literally like legends.
Yeah.
I got to study with Victor Bailey, who have you ever heard of Victor Bailey?
Yeah.
So he replaced Jaco Pastorius in Weather Report after he passed away. So I got to study with him before he passed away. I got to study with like this guy Anthony Vitti, who I owe basically my whole like the foundation of my slap technique. I owe to him for sure. Like, because when I got to Berklee, I was doing this slap where you slap like the flea thing,
right?
And when I started working with him, he's like, hey man, if you want to do the stuff that I'm doing, which is basically like the Marcus Miller stuff,
right,
you're gonna have to relearn how to slap. And I was like 20 years old already, so I was like, I thought I knew how to do the thing, and I listened to him and I relearned everything. And, I think it turned out okay. But I studied with him. I studied with this guy Joe Santier, who is like one of the most insane melodic bass players. Studied with a lot of jazz guys, a lot of like fusion. Yeah, it was really cool. It was like right when Steve Bailey, who is he just became the chair the bass department, and like started, he would just bring in like, Victor Wooten was always there.
Oh wow.
John Patitucci was always there.
Joe.
He brought in like Dick from Meshuggah.
Whoa.
He brought in the guys from the Dillinger Escape Plan, and it was all him and this other teacher there named Dave Marvulio, who's a buddy of mine now.
Yeah.
But so him and Steve and the co-chair or assistant chair Sandro, they made that department, like the bass department, like really special. And so like there was always something going on. And a lot of the stuff that I did at Berklee was kind of behind the scenes. Like I don't know, I kind of like joined a band outside of Berklee and like would go on tour in like a van and just like tell my teachers I was like doing that. And they just give me my work and I would just do it from the van.
Right. So the band you're talking about, what's it called? Is it Painted in Exile?
Yeah, Painted in Exile.
Right.
Yeah. So I met those guys. I got into that band when I was in college. And at the end of college, we did a tour that opened for Plintervals.
Oh, wow.
And then before or after that show, Aaron came up to me and was like, hey, this isn't like my band, but I'm looking to have like a full band and tour and do this thing for real. I might hit you up to play bass. And I was like, okay, I just have like 2 months left of school. And then I got, I had like a job. I had like a job offer from this like record label to just like do copyright stuff.
Oh,
which was like, fine, but it's not what I wanted to do. But it was like a job. It would have been a job out of college.
Yeah,
but I declined it, and I just did the intervals thing. And
my dude gets some bold.
Well, it wasn't even like a. It would, it was like I would have been working in the city, which would have been cool. Yeah, but it would just be working at a desk, as opposed to being like.
Yeah, of course.
Hey, do you want to go on tour opening for North Lane? And I was like,
of course.
Yeah, of course. And then, the way he approached it was like, yeah, we have this Canadian tour, and if it goes well, we're going to do Europe with Nick Johnson and Polyphia. And I was like, okay, yeah. So I guess I'll say no to this job and see how it goes.
Of course, dude. Yeah, I mean, that's the dream, man. I mean, I'm glad you took that decision because, of course, man, like I would have chosen the same. Like it's what have gotten you here. So definitely a great decision. So you do like that band. You said Painting in Exile, right? I'm trying to get the right pronunciation. So you guys like were able to like complete your first. I saw your first US tour. Opening for Scar Symmetry.
Right. Yep.
Yeah, and I believe that work with the band was featured at Bass Player magazine and like Metal Injection and Rock
we did.
magazine.
Yeah, I joined that. That band was like they started like way earlier in like 2008, and they
Right.
put out some music way before I joined.
Yeah.
And then when I joined, we did our first like full length record and did like all the press and all that stuff. It was, it was before I,
Yeah.
a lot of,
Yeah.
just, like the bass player thing was just because, or the bass player magazine thing just happened because the PR company was able to do that. It wasn't like
All right.
they knew who I was or anything like that. But it was cool. Yeah, it was really cool. And those guys are like some of my, some of my best friends. Yeah, I love all those guys. And I have another project called Gia, which is
Yeah.
me and the keyboard player of Painted in Exile. We started
Oh
that,
yeah.
and we have it's some other members now, but that's something we're working on right now. But yeah, so I love all those guys though.
Yeah, dude. Can you talk more about Gia? Because yeah, I would love to get like more familiar. Like how's it the style?
So basically it's kind of like it's progressive metal, but it's got vocals. It's kind
Right.
of it's kind of dark. I'm trying to think of who to compare it to. People have called it like Deftonesy meets like a contortionist.
Oh, okay.
Which
That's interesting.
which is cool. Yeah, because those are some of my favorite bands, so that's fine. But the EP that we put out called The Lapse, that was it was basically written over COVID by me and my keyboard player
Oh, damn.
without like anyone else. And then I sent it, and then Sam, who was the guitar player for Intervals for a while, after the original guitar player of Gia left, I sent it to Sam like, hey, I don't know what we're gonna do with this music, but we wrote an EP and I want it to be out. Would you mind writing guitars for it? So Sam wrote guitars, and he's like, hey, like, and I was hoping he would be into it and be like, hey, can I just do more of this with you guys? And that's what happened. I was like, yeah, do you just want to be the guitar player? And he said yes.
Great.
And then we had I threw out like a Hail Mary on Instagram because I get the instrumental I get enough instrumental stuff. I love anything that I get sent over from session music. I love the instrumental stuff. The Intervals music is very, very close to my heart, and I love it, and I love everything about it.
Yeah.
But like what I wanted to do for my own stuff was not instrumental. So I was not going to, especially because the EP was written with vocals in mind. I didn't want to just give up. So I put out a Hail Mary on Instagram and be like, hey, I need a vocalist. Someone help. And then this dude, Christian Perez, who is now our vocalist, hit me up and he's like, hey. And he was just some dude who like followed me just from like the interval stuff.
Yeah.
And he was a Berklee dude as well. He knew some people I knew.
Oh,
and
that's great.
He sent me some songs that he's done. I'm like, who are you? Where have you been? Like, what is going on? So we worked on some lyrics together, and yeah, he wrote, me and him kind of wrote a lot of the album together.
Yeah.
Or the lyrics and melodies for the album. And like I sent him this one song we have called The Lapse, and he basically sent it back completely done.
Whoa.
And I was like, all right, you're good. You're the guy. Please just be in my band. So we have that, and we just put out an EP, and we have a couple more. We have like another EP's worth of material we're going to start recording and releasing. But the new material is a little different since it was written by the collective four of us, not just two of us. So it's a little different. Awesome. It's a little bit more. I'd say it's a little bit more like guitar centric because like you have an EP written by a bass player and a keyboard player. It's we tried, and I love the music, but Sam, who played guitar for Intervals and wrote all the music for the band The After Image.
Great, man.
So he's been a big part of it, and Christian also just is amazing at writing and sound design. So
wow,
yeah,
that's
so
awesome.
We have and I think the new stuff is going to be mixed in by Sam Guayana too. So
wow,
yeah,
so I'm looking forward to hear that. I cannot wait.
Hell yeah, dude.
It's great to hear that from you guys, and yeah, I'm looking forward to listening to that. And I almost forgot. Wanted to ask you, like, what do you feel is like? Yeah, like you said, like you started to compose or write music, focusing on like lyrics and get more into that, more different, like from what you used to write with the intervals type of thing. So how was that transition? Like what did you learn in that that space of time, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've always gravitated towards music with lyrics.
Yeah,
I think like with Painted, there was the stuff I was writing had lyrics in mind. So it was honestly like a change with intervals.
Yeah.
Because that was the first time I was
Okay.
the first ever instrumental music I ever played on was intervals.
Yeah, that was the
So
different. Yeah.
so that was it was kind of like more so getting used to that, and with intervals, just having done that, do it. That's like my main thing, the thing I write for most now.
Yeah.
So with Gia, it was more so like I wanted to get back to writing
Of course.
songs with lyrics and stuff
Yeah.
in mind. But in terms of like structure and it's very similar because the interval stuff is
Yeah.
it's just pop songs,
Yeah, it really
and it's
is.
just well structured, well written songs that are just instrument, like more focused on the instruments. But
Right.
the Gia stuff is pretty proggy and can be techy. Yeah, but I don't know. I think it's just I don't know. I'm used to writing stuff with vocals in mind,
Yeah.
and with intervals, I think what's cool is like with working with Aaron and stuff. It kind of forced me to become like a really good listener in terms of like the melody,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
like what things I can acknowledge and what
Yeah.
things I can just lay back and be the foundation of, and that kind of translates to the Gia stuff as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, it wasn't really like a big transition really. It was just like, like I kind of want to just do this.
Yeah. That's the thing that I find like most valuable for you, like for you as being a bassist or bass player for your bands, which is you're not like the typical the usual way, bass player that just like plays the foundation, right? Or just like which is great. Like that's what the bass is supposed to do. Like that, I believe, composition wise, right? Like the bass is like
Yeah, that comes
the
first.
yeah, that comes first, but you manage to add flavor or add different what can I say, nuances, like different, right? Like that cherry on top thing that really adds to the music, dude. Because I believe, like I'm being serious about this. Like I believe, like after you guys did what you did with like with intervals and what you did with your composition and your way of playing, your technique and all that, I think it brings a lot to the community, to the prog community. I believe it's such a massive I would say change actually, because yeah, I was always used to just like, oh okay, by the way, I used to play bass.
Nice.
Yeah, so I started again just like you, like on bass, and then I moved to guitar. But I totally respect a ton of what you do, because I know it's really it's not easy to do. To bring new things
Mm-hmm.
to the table, and I'm looking forward to see more what you do next this year. So
Oh yeah.
yeah. So yeah, I want to get a little back to what we were talking about with your music background. So I wanted to ask you, like, how has studying music helped you on your career? Like, I believe this is one of the most important questions that I'm making, because I've encountered that. I mean, I've encountered people, and myself, I'm guilty of this too, which is
Mm-hmm.
about judging the art of studying music. I consider it an art, because it's definitely not easy, like not forever. Again, like I
Sure.
said before, like it takes a lot of practice, discipline. I Like I said myself, like I've been studying for 2 years, and I have like theory and guitar teachers and all that, and it could be such an intimidating thing to do. And a lot of musicians, like I said, quit and or give up on their early careers. And I just wanted to ask you, like, how has music, right, like how has studying music made change your perspective or improve your life in a way, so people who are listening, probably musicians right now, and like get
Mm-hmm.
to know your view on this subject.
Um, I think Victor Wooten says it really well. Like music theory and all that stuff is like a tool. It's like the spare tire you have in your trunk.
Right.
You don't when it's good you have it there, but you don't.
Yeah.
It's not like the main thing, right?
Of course.
So that's kind of the way I view it. Is like you learn all this stuff. You learn your chords. You learn your scales, your modes, and
Yeah.
all this stuff, and then you kind of just have it in the back of your mind.
Yeah.
So that way, when let's say like Clayton King sends me a song and
Yeah.
he asks me to write, some derpy bass thing that like that's just like gonna make my life, a living hell. But I could just be like, okay, like I get what he's doing here. I understand what what
Yeah.
key and everything, and that's kind of like that's kind of it. It's just like
Yeah.
you understand the language, and
Right.
then and if there's things that are foreign to you or tricky, then you can go ahead and
Yeah.
ask.
Right.
Yeah, but the thing is, the thing with music theory and stuff like that is like it's very rarely like I talk about it with like intervals or Ollie or Clayton or anybody that
For sure. Yeah.
that hits me up. But it's just something where I've started working on it, or just like learning it
Yeah.
when I was in high school, and I was a shitty teenager, so like a lot of it didn't stick. But
Yeah.
but when I got to school, it was like it was right when I started to apply it, and I think the easiest way to kind of understand it
Yeah.
or or understand it is just find examples of the things that you're working on and see how
Yeah.
other artists apply it.
Oh,
Because
okay.
like one of the trickiest things for me was like modes and understanding how
Yeah.
you can apply that and write music with it
Yeah.
and not just sound like you're playing the Phrygian dominant scale
Yeah.
or
Right.
whatever. So like I one of my teachers at Berklee gave me, or for when we were starting out, he gave me a few songs for
Yeah.
each mode and just showed me
Oh,
how
great.
different artists apply those things. Like for Dorian,
Yeah.
he gave me like "So Up" by Miles Davis, and that
Oh,
whole song is
awesome.
just just D Dorian modulating, just like E flat Dorian, whatever.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, I know that sound. And then I was listening to Tesseract, and I'm like,
Oh,
holy
yeah.
shit, that
Sounds
that
similar.
April is literally just B flat Dorian.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, and they're just using this key. And so
Yeah.
that was kind of like very very helpful, is just like seeing how other people apply it.
Yeah.
And but again, it's just something that you learn and I mean, you never stop learning.
Yeah.
But you just get all this information and just kind of like put it in the back of your mind. When I it's just I'm trying to think of a good way to put it. When artists send me stuff, I can kind of just like pick it up really quickly now because
Of course.
of learning all this stuff. But yeah, I'd say a good way to get your head wrapped around it is like, especially with like modes and everything, is like listen
Right.
and try to find ways it's applied musically. Don't just like look at it on paper.
Right. Yeah. Right. Cause it looks, at least for me, it's really boring. Like to just look at the paper and just be like, oh, like this is the pattern and this
Yeah,
is
here's a
the,
flat two.
yeah.
Blah 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 blah.
And it's just like, no, dude, like you have to apply it. Yeah. I feel you, man. And I've been guilty of it. Like this year, to me, like I'm being totally honest, like it was, I mean, one of the worst years. I mean, when it comes to like like studying
Mm-hmm.
music, like I just put a lot of effort to this project and this thing. I left like the studies a little bit like behind, and but now I'm like retaking it. And I want to to get that support like from guys like you, because I know that like how it is to get into this type of stuff. Like it can be intimidating
Yeah.
at first. It can be yeah, like really hard to get into, but like you said, like if you start like to apply it to things you like, or yeah, like just get a little bit more fun and dynamic with it. Like I believe you can learn a lot of stuff
Yeah.
with it. So yeah, like getting that stuff a little back now. So I would love to talk about your endorsements. Like, dude, those Dingwall bases you have, it's just crazy. I mean, I don't know if you can show me like the one you have in your bag.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Dude.
I got this guy. This is a thing that's gonna hopefully come out sometime.
Beautiful, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would love to get my hands on one day, because just they sound
they're the
amazing.
best. Thank you. Yeah. I mean, it was cool. Like, they're the best company. They're just the best guys, and they,
Yeah.
obviously for me, they make the best instruments. But yeah, that's like there's one more that they're building
Yeah.
me that'll be like the final prototype.
Ooh.
And then I don't know really. I'm not like a member of the company. I don't know what has to happen, or I'm not like, I'm not work at the factory. I don't know
Yeah,
what has to happen to do what in order to But this next one will be the last bass before I give it back to them, and
Oh, okay.
we hopefully
Yeah.
build a bunch of them. But
Oh, great.
yeah, Dingwall's just been the best company. Sheldon, Nick, Paul, everyone at the shop
Yeah.
is so sick. But yeah,
That's awesome, dude. Yeah, I would love to get my hands on one because again, I've never lost, like my love for, playing
yeah,
bass, and I believe it's such a cool instrument to play, to learn. Like it, it's really different, I would say, like from guitar. Like, of course, it has like, a lot of things in common, but just just by playing it and just like the tone you get and just the feeling of it, I believe it's a really cool instrument to get into. So even before I would say to get into guitar, I think it's great. Like you can start like with bass, I believe.
yeah. I mean, that's what a lot of people do. I was the opposite, whereas I got a
Yeah,
guitar first, and then I was like,
yeah.
no, fuck this, I want to play bass.
Man, they did,
But
yeah, like the reverse engineering.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, Dingwall is. I had everybody wants their own custom guitar,
Of course.
and when they're younger. So it I never like imagined people would be this into like
Yeah,
this specific bass to the point where like there's like the UMANSKYBass thing, and we're working on like trying to make a bunch of these basses, and
yeah, dude.
so it was really cool, and the fact that Dingwall was open to me like changing
Sick.
certain things about
Really
it
sick.
was really really cool. So yeah, it's like like when I was a kid, I'm a big Avenged Sevenfold fan,
Oh,
and like
really?
I'm like die hard.
Oh, wow.
But my favorite guitar player was like Sinister Gates, and
Yeah,
like I just thought it was so sick that he like had his own signature guitar. I
of
just like
course.
it was so cool that like that was his, so again, that's just where I put the idea in my head. I was like, oh, I want my own bass,
Yeah,
like
that's cool, dude.
I didn't think like, oh, I want other people, like I want to
Yeah, I know.
like do my own signature model, but just to have something that's just like mine
Yeah,
was really really cool, and yeah, Dingwall's the best.
that's awesome, dude. Yeah, I love it. Oh, you got your Coke?
Oh, I got my this is my favorite drink. It's Poppy.
Oh,
It's just like soda. It's just like healthy, not healthy, but like it's called like, what is it? It's like probiotic soda, and it's strawberry lemon. This shit is
okay.
so addicting, dude. I like got a beer, but I have like I have to do a lot of work after this, so I don't want to
Yeah,
like just be drinking.
it's fine. I mean, I believe last episode with Clayton, it was like getting, yeah, he had like something like you, like a type of soda, and
Yeah,
then he mixed it up with some kind of drink. I don't know.
hell yeah,
Yeah, that's cool, dude.
hell
Um,
yeah,
yeah, dude. So you mentioned about a Umansky plugin, dude.
yeah.
I freaking love that plugin. Like, I believe, yeah, dude. Like, I've been using it for what, more than a year now, and
Mhm.
like for all the things I've done, which are not like a lot, but like all the things I've done, I believe I've used that plugin, and dude, it
Hell
sounds amazing. Like it really has your sound, and
yeah. Yeah, it's scary. I was skeptical at first when they approached me about it.
right, really.
Yeah, just because I was like, is it gonna take work away from me?
Oh,
Is it
okay,
gonna Are like bass players not gonna be stoked on it?
okay,
But it's as like a tool for writing, and as a tool for
yeah,
like bands who like necessarily can't like find a bass player, or like
exactly.
it's really cool, and it's made it onto some records that I was just like blown away that you
Oh
know
yeah,
yeah.
like which?
It's on. I don't know if. I mean, I'm sure it's fine, but I think it's on The Word Alive. It's a new record. It's on Bless the Fall. Um,
Oh,
who else uses it? Animals as Leaders uses it live.
oh yeah. I knew it.
Um, I'm pretty sure. I don't want to say because like I don't know if this band has a bass player, so I don't want to. Yeah,
Okay.
blow up their spot. But yeah, it's just been on a bunch of stuff, and like I get tagged in all these, like that's one of the reasons why like I play bass obviously for Clayton King stuff.
Yeah, all is
Um,
all still too.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people, but like a
Yeah,
lot. What I mean is like a lot of it is because they had my plugin first, and that put me in contact with them.
exactly, exactly.
Do you know Min Kang? You ever heard of him?
I'm not sure. Maybe if I see
He's
his face, yeah.
he's a South. He's from South Korea. He's a guitar player. He plays in a bossy, but so
Oh
he
yeah, yeah,
started.
yeah.
Yeah, he's a stone cold killer. And I got to meet him and like play with him when I was in Korea.
Oh,
But
great.
so like he did some demos for UMANSKYBass and then hit me up to do like some music for him, which was awesome.
Wow.
And the same thing goes for like Clayton, where it was like he
Yeah.
was using my plugin. I think the story was like I met him. Uh, yeah, I met him at I think for the first time at like an interval
Yeah.
show in Austin or something, and he
Oh,
came out
great.
and hung on our bus, and we were just talking. I was like, dude, like I love your stuff. If you ever actually need like want me to write some stuff on your tracks, like
Wow.
let me know. And then he sent me Equivalent Exchange, and
Oh yeah.
that song went like crazy. And
Yeah.
and then
Sick
so
song.
this, it was nuts. So I did that, and Clayton like mixes my bass better than like anyone, like him and Sam.
He's
It's
nuts.
that's the cool shit about doing what I do is like I love
Yeah.
playing bass for everybody. It's my I love, but like hearing all these legendary producers take on my sound
Yeah.
is really cool because it's like
It
I've
really
heard my
is.
bass. Yeah, I've like heard my bass mixed by like Simon Grove. I've heard it mixed by Nolly, Dan Braunstein, Sam Guyana, Clayton,
Wow.
George Lever,
Wow.
Nick Sampson. So like all these amazing producers, like I've heard they've had my bass and they've done
Yeah.
whatever they want to do with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean I know people know me or like know me for whatever sound like but
Yeah.
whenever I get hired for stuff, I usually say like, hey, here's the DI like, and here's like a reference tone if you want it, but
Right.
like make your own.
Yeah. That's awesome, dude. I mean, yeah, like I've seen you again, like collaborating with lots of artists like lately,
Mhm.
like Austin, Clayton
Mhm.
King, and all these
Yeah,
guys is just like blown you away, with like they're playing and again like producing and mixing, which
yeah.
sound killer. All those songs sound killer, and yeah, I'm glad
That's
like
not
you,
me. I just play. I don't make it sound killer, but
dude, you have your part there. It's like
yeah.
it's your sound. It sounds amazing, and yeah, I'm looking forward again like to get more to compose and write songs,
Mhm.
and I would love to. I don't know, maybe in the future do some collab with
Dude,
you,
yeah, hit
and
me up. I
I would
got you.
love to.
Yeah,
And
anytime.
yeah, dude. So yeah, we've talked about Dingwall and submission audio, right? But I
Mhm.
also seen you've worked with the Darkglass electronics, right?
Yeah.
Just great for the tone. Oh, dude, of course. My dude has a whole
Yeah.
wall of pedals. Oh my god, dude.
Yeah, I don't use them too much anymore live.
Yeah,
But yeah, I've done demos for basically, any pedal they make, any amp they were.
yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah, they're like responsible for Doug and everyone at Darkglass are like one of the main
Yeah,
reasons I was able to have the presence I do like
yeah,
starting out. Like they were really really kind to me. This their AR Lauren, who was
yeah.
like one of the first dudes to like send me stuff, and
Really
yeah,
cool.
so I owe a lot to Darkglass and how
Yeah,
cool everyone at that company is. But yeah, I still do. I have another one, a video coming out for the new combo amp that they just put out. That's really cool.
oh
Um, but yeah, they're great.
yeah,
And a lot of my sound was kind of influenced by obviously the
yeah,
stuff they do,
for
even though
sure.
it's more so based around like that the parallax sound or
Yeah,
like the X7 that they put out. But yeah, they're an amazing company, and they were really kind to just kind of like it just started out with me getting. I mean, like I got my first pedal, this
yeah.
one right there, like when I was like 17. My dad bought it for me,
Whoa.
and just to come full circle and actually like be working with them and like
Wow, that's
working
amazing,
for
man.
them and like getting to do videos and
That's
you
great, dude.
know yeah, it was that's one of the coolest things is like because there's a picture if you scroll deep enough on my Instagram from when I was in
Yeah,
high school with like my Darkglass pedal,
yeah,
and like now I'm just like you know I work with them.
Yeah,
It's
awesome,
really
dude.
cool.
That's awesome, dude. Wow. I mean, yeah. So you mentioned parallax too, which yeah, like every time I remember, every time I picture a sound, like I'm thinking about Jacob Imansky, I think like either parallax or like Darkglass. It's just
Yeah,
like yeah.
that's basically all I use. And there's on the live I'm using the Axe effects now, or
Oh
the
really?
FM9. Yeah, I the neural DSP stuff is I use that in the studio, and
Yeah,
I
like quad
still use the
cortex.
yeah, I'll use that, or I'll use just the plugins and stuff. I mean, I think Aaron was using the fractal stuff before, and
Yeah.
then when everybody moved to the fractal stuff,
Right.
um our team was just like, yeah, it'd be sick if you were just on the same thing. So
Yeah.
I started using a fractal, and it's
Great.
really, really cool. But yeah, the neural stuff's great too. I have my quad cortex. I still do videos for with it. A lot of the I used it for a lot of the portraits record.
Oh yeah. I was going to
Yeah.
ask you, but I almost forgot because yeah, I've seen you like working with Joshua and Joseph,
Mhm.
and it's great. So how is it like working for them with them?
They're aliens, dude. Those kids, they're everything they send me is just so absurd. Their approach to composition, like,
Yeah.
and just they're both some of the I give them shit every time I see them, but they are two of the most talented human beings I
They
know.
are.
Yeah, Joseph, yeah, they're like a tag team from hell. They're so
Yeah,
sick.
dude.
And I like I like their music because one, it's got chops, but it's
Yeah.
substance. There's something there. It's not just
Yeah.
it's
It's
not just
catchy.
it's not yeah, it's not just flash.
Yeah.
It's stuff that I can like lay into and just play bass for a second, and then
Yeah.
there's other moments where I can do my own thing, and
Exactly.
or do the thing,
Yeah.
um but yeah, it's really it's insane working with them, and also it's just a challenge. It's there's the progressive music stuff, it lends itself
Yeah.
to certain technical ability, I guess, whatever, but
Yeah.
their stuff is kind of
I know.
takes it
Next
to another
level.
level where I
I
just have to
know.
like actually like open up a textbook.
Yeah, I know. When I see like those guys like playing, like even just like on social media, it's just like I'm blown away with
Yeah.
all the things they do. Yeah, I love them too. Like
Mhm.
I'm a prac dude too, so
Yeah.
yeah, I love to listen to all the stuff he does, like with Victoria too, like all the
That stuff, I don't know if I could hang with that. That stuff is that
uh,
yeah, Matt's yeah. There's just a certain amount, there's just so much I could count, and so many numbers I can count to before my brain blows up.
yeah.
But yeah, like I was recording this song Kiowa, which is like this crazy thump song that they have.
Okay.
And I tracked it, and it's fine. I could play it perfectly. And they were like, "Oh yeah, like this is like triplets and this is nested tuplets." I'm like, "I don't know what that is, but is this right?" And they're like, "Yeah, it's fine." I was like,
Yeah.
"Okay, great, done." But yeah, they're incredible, and yeah, I'm hoping
They are.
whatever they do next, they give me a shout, because it's very, very cool.
For sure, dude. I would love to see what they do next. It's mind blowing. So, yeah, dude. I wanted to ask you like, what advice would you give to musicians that want like to stand out on a certain instrument like bass or I don't know, violin or I don't know whatever they're playing or they really want to play but they don't know how to stand out. Yeah.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I would just say, just be yourself, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a great answer.
Yeah, like, don't be afraid. Don't like, serve the song and do whatever that takes. But just be unapologetically yourself when it comes to composing your art.
Yeah.
There's a difference between like, playing it safe because it serves the song, and I guess playing it safe because you're afraid of what other people will say about it. Yeah, I don't know, that's tricky, being able to stand out. I think in terms of having like your own musical voice,
Yeah.
You know, I always tell people, like, when it comes to, like, I guess, like, honing in on my own style, it was just like I learned the things that I wanted to learn from other artists.
Yeah,
You
for
know,
sure.
I would like try to emulate that, and
Right.
by that process, it all just kind of like molds into its own thing. You
Yeah.
know, I'd be like writing a tune or like writing a fill or something, and I'd be like, oh yeah, it's kind of like Marcus Millery. You know, that's kind of cool. And then like years go by,
Yeah.
and like you're just like not even thinking what this is or where you
Yeah.
got this from.
Right.
So, you know, just try to emulate your favorite artists, and eventually, you know, it'll just become your own thing.
Right. Wow, man, that's a great answer. Yeah, like great
I hope.
advice.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, it really is. No, I feel it like every time I ask a question, I always put like in the position of, like me myself, I want to learn stuff. Like I would love
Mhm.
to get back into bass maybe one time, and I would
Mhm.
love, to get that, like get my own sound, maybe to stand out. So
Mhm.
yeah, a great answer. And I want to say that what you're saying actually reminds me of a book I once read, which was How to Steal Like an Artist. It's a great
Yeah.
book. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Okay.
yeah. You get the idea. Like
Totally.
like of course, like I'm not saying like you're literally stealing from someone,
No, but
just
yeah, you are.
but you kind of are. Like you're
Yeah.
taking stuff from someone and you're making it on your own, and then that will go like into a cycle. And
Yeah. It eventually, it just, you know, it becomes unrecognizable, you
yeah,
know?
exactly. That's
And if it,
great.
yeah, exactly. Like, you know, all the your guitar players, all the guys are listening to whatever, Aaron and
Yeah,
Petrucci and Tim and Guthrie and Pliny and all those kids in their bedrooms, they're going to listen to that shit, and then they're going to make it their own. And
right.
then you're going to have in 10 years, whoever the new guy is going to be, you know?
Exactly. Yeah,
You know?
that's the cycle.
But yeah, I think, you know, that, and again, people might have other ways or opinions on, you know,
Right.
getting your own sound. But for
Of
me,
course.
I was like, everyone was always telling me like to steal, you know, to steal, listen to other people. And it still goes through my head sometimes where I'm like, oh, like this fill kind of reminds me of this or whatever, but
Yeah.
it's not like, oh, I directly lifted it from there.
Yeah.
But, you know, you kind of like build your own vocabulary, and again, it just becomes your own language.
Yeah, exactly. That's great. Yeah. So I wanted to ask you something, which is what are your top 5 bands right now?
Oh, God. Let me look at Spotify. Let's see what I'm
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
listening to. One sec. Let's see. Oh, boy.
I don't know. I just was really
Yeah.
curious
Okay.
to know that.
Loathe.
Yeah.
I love Loathe. Loathe is like, I love those guys. They're the best.
I love them too.
Let's see. The Midnight. I don't know if you ever
Oh,
heard of the Midnight. They're
yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, I've heard them.
Let's see what else. Meshuggah.
Oh, of course.
Let's see. Jakob Zatecki.
Oh, yeah. I've heard of him.
Hiatus Coyote. And the story so far, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, just like a lot of pop punk.
Have you listened to?
Turnstile.
Yeah. Have you listened to Real Friends?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, here's another Teenage Wrist. That's another band I've been
Oh,
listening to a lot.
okay.
Yeah, they're really cool.
Yeah, dude. So wow, it's been crazy, crazy talk. I mean, I'm
Absolutely.
beyond honored and forever thankful. Yeah, for you for supporting this project. Before you go, I would love for you to do something that I ask every guest before they go, which is who will you like to be on the next episode. It can be anyone, producer, musician.
I think.
Yeah.
You should get Joseph Anidjar.
Oh yeah, I would love to. I would love
Yeah.
to.
Yeah, you'll have a good time talking to him.
That's great, dude. Yeah, I would love to get Joshua too, because
Yeah, any of those guys.
I just love those guys, dude. They're amazing. All the stuff they put out, and yeah, I would love to get all their DNA back into the podcast.
Hell yeah, dude.
It's
Very
been
cool.
great. Like, thanks for being here. So yeah, this is the 5th episode of the Chuggin with Jacob Umansky.
Hell yeah, dude.
Thanks for
All right,
coming,
man.
dude.
Thanks for having me, man.